that will see you through all the trials that life can offer.
Kenneth, thank you so much for having a chat with us.
You're welcome.
Obviously, you've worked with so many texts and stories that loads of people hold dear, like Shakespeare, obviously, Thor, and you could even stretch it as far as Frankenstein. Are you used to that now? Does it lack pressure anymore?
I think you see it as exciting, you know. I think it's good if you feel as an audience that might be excited and interested to see it. I don't believe in the compare and contrast thing. I think the reason the stories are universal is because people do want to see them again. They do need to hear them. If I have a favourite song, I don't want to listen to it just once. I'll listen to it many times, you know. That seems natural, and so it is with these stories.
She'll merely be your stepmother, and you'll have two lovely sisters to keep you company. So I'll know, as far away as I may be, that you'll be safe.
Aesthetically, it's absolutely gorgeous. When the colours are just incredible and they just draw you in. But in terms of like the time period and stuff, all of it I was trying to work out, where were you, did you kind of think in your head, I want this to be that time period, I want this to be that? Where was it for you? Where was
For me, it was Middle Europe, somewhere around, you know, sort of 1800 or something. Yeah. But we borrowed costume design shapes from the 1940s and 50s. We were, you know, borrowing architectural designs from the middle of the 19th and end of 19th century.
There were no rules.
No rules, except to sort of generally create a world in which it all appeared to be consistent within itself, even though you couldn't always understand whether it was a direct copy of a historical place, because we wanted partly to do that blur so that you were always aware that you weren't quite in the real world. It appeared to be, but there was something of the dream about it.
Cinderwench. Dirty Ella. Cinderella.
Whoa! Are you all right, miss? What did he call you?
Never mind what they call me.
And with the film as well, the relationship, like, it's just so believable and it's so sincere in many ways as well. Because in terms of these fairy tales, sometimes you just, not that you don't believe them, but you're like, you're just falling in love. Whereas you actually feel like they are falling in love, and you see those moments happening. That chemistry between the two actors, of course, must have just on set been incredible, because it's so evident that wouldn't have worked otherwise.
Yeah, I think it adds an extra dimension that they, Lily James and Richard Madden, listen to each other so much. So there's just this chemical connection, because you feel the concentration between them, and you feel therefore it's meaningful. They're very, very present in the scenes with each other, and so you're absolutely on the edge of your seat.
Do they treat you well?
Oh, better than I deserve, most likely. And you?
They treat me as well as they're able.
I'm sorry.
It's not your doing.
Nor yours either, I'll bet.
And that relationship is being brought to stage now as well, Romeo and Juliet.
Correct.
And do you still get excited by Shakespeare, going back to it all the time? Or
I do,
yeah.
I do, because I'm always amazed at the richness of these stories and plays. But it's the poetic dimension, it's the numinous, as you might call it, the otherworldly, the thing you cannot put your finger on, that acts beyond the words, beyond the story, beyond the characters.
Finally, I have to ask you, Thor, would you ever go back to Marvel? I know you get asked so much, but the first Thor was my favourite Marvel movie out of all of them.
Well, thanks very much.
So is that something that you would want to go back to?
It was an important moment in my directing career to make that movie in all sorts of ways, and it's infinite possibilities, but always you've got to somehow find that way to keep everything...
Kenneth, I'm not hearing yes or no.
Enjoying.
I'm not hearing yes or no.
But it's a fascinating place.
Is that a maybe?
They'd have to ask me, you know.
Okay.
it's not a conversation we're having, but it's a
one
subject
I hope is pitched to you in the future.
It's a subject.